Hi, boys and girls. My name is Mrs. Nellans, but I'm better known as Nani because I'm Ashley's grandma. I know she doesn't like me to say that because she gets embarrassed. But I want to say thank you for letting me come today and read this book to your class. And the name of the book is Abe Lincoln Crosses a Creek. It's a tall, thin tale, and it's introducing his forgotten frontier friend. The book is written by Deborah Hopkinson, and it's designed and colored and illustrated by John Hendricks. I will be glad to read this to you today. Okay, and in the beginning of the book, it does say, now I'm sure you know lots about Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. But what you might not know is that Abe would never have become president if it hadn't been for Austin Gollaher. What's that? Never heard of Austin? Our country wouldn't be the same without him. You see, he was Abe's childhood friend. And when Abe went rumbling into the raging, rushing waters of Knob Creek one fateful day, well, luckily, Austin was there. Still itching to know more? Why don't you just turn the page and let Deborah, the writer, and John, the illustrator, tell you all about it. And here's the title page, Abe Lincoln Crosses a Creek, a tall, thin tale, introducing his forgotten frontier friend. I'm not even sure I knew about Austin. This is in Kentucky in 1816. That's a long time ago, more than 100 years ago. Now here's an old tale of two boys who got themselves into more trouble than bear cubs in a candy store. I like it so well, I'd asked my friend John to help out by drawing some pictures. All stories have a time and a place, and this one's no different. It happened on the other side of yesterday, before computers or cars, in the year 1816. This green Kentucky Valley is our place. Don't you feel like sticking your toes into that rushing water? That's Knobs Creek. You can see there's some rushing water in the picture, a big river, and it's got people standing, log cabins, mountains. It would be a really fun place to go in the summertime because it would be nice and cool in that river. One of these days we're going to get to summer. Life was hard for many folks then, especially those in slavery. And in just a few years, all the cares of America would fall on the shoulders of one tall, thin man. But in 1816, he's only 7. Here he is, fetching wood for his mother. All spring he's been helping his father plant corn and pumpkins. See, there he is carrying the logs back to his mom's house to give her a hand. I'm sure all of you help your moms with some chores and things that you carry for them. Look, now he's stopping to watch a wagon rumble by. I dare say you've guessed his name, Abraham Lincoln. He'll grow up to become our 16th president. There's another boy here too, sitting on that rock waiting for Abe. That's Benjamin Austin Gollaher, Austin for short. And you can see him sitting on the rock among all the trees on the hill, looking to see what's going on with the wagon and Abe and the log cabin. Okay, now I can just hear you grumbling. Who? That feller isn't in my history book. What do I care? Well, Austin is Abe's best friend, and I'm sure all of you have best friends. He's 3 years older and as proud of Abe as a big brother. Abe's legs were long, his arms were long, why, even his ears were long, Austin would say later. And when it came to being smart, he was way yonder ahead of me. All right, now that's where we need to begin. A time, a place, and our characters. Two boys named Austin and Abe. And here they are, wrapping their arms around each other like friends do, giving each other kind of a nice hug. It's nice that we can do that now that the coronavirus is going away finally. Now, remember where I know. Austin just waved at his friend, remember? "Hello there, Austin," Abe calls out. "Yesterday I saw some partridges over by Knob Creek. Let's go find them." "Don't go too near the creek," warns Abe's mom. "Nancy, it's been raining something fierce and the water's high." "We won't, ma'am," Austin and Abe chimed together. Then they scurried directly there, wearing nothing but long homespun shirts. And if you see the picture, Abraham Lincoln's mom standing in the window telling him don't go there, and here are the boys. They've taken off their pants and their boots, and they've just got long shirts on, like they know they're going to get wet and dirty. I'm sure none of you ever do that kind of thing. Well, at least don't take your pants off. Here's Knobs Creek. Its waters rushing through the limestone rock into a dark, deep pool. I'd be scared to cross, wouldn't you? But Abe points to the other side of the creek. "Let's go, Austin. That's where I saw the partridges." In case you don't know, partridges are like little birds, but you can catch them, and sometimes people used to eat them kind of like chickens. And you can see how fast that water's flowing and that they're looking and looking on the rocks and how fast the water's going. Abe's only thinking about birds, not the raging water before him. After all, he's just 7, not a great leader yet, with the Union to save. Why, he's barely learned his letters. "I don't know, Abe. That water's darn high," Austin frowns, "and we can't swim." "We can get across that log easy," says Abe, with a plucky grin. "I dare you." Now you can see in this picture, there's the partridges up there that are flying away. There's still some more of that crazy wild water. And there on the bottom here is the log that they're going to try to walk over to get to the other side. I don't know that I'd try that because that's really fast going water there. "All right," replies Austin, gulping hard. Then putting one foot in front of the other, he tiptoes across. Careful there. And then you can see how dirty his feet are and how slippery mud is. And he's walking across that log. And looks like it's going to be dangerous to me. "I made it! Let's all clap together! Austin made it! Woo!" Austin turns back to look for his friend. Uh-oh, I sense trouble coming, don't you? Abe takes a big breath and begins. His feet are slippery. The log is slippery. He inches across. Slowly, slowly. There, Austin made it. Everybody's clapping for him. But now Abe's coming across, and oh, look at his feet are muddy and slippery, and that water's going so fast, and he looks like he's really nervous. I would be too. Okay. Here comes the bit that's a mite scary. The part where if this were a movie, the music would get real rumbly, and you might cover your eyes. Abe looks down at the water, swirling and spinning. Suddenly, he's dizzy. Oh, alas, alack, oh dear. Then head over heels, and then splash. There it goes, alas, alack. Whoa, then he falls off. And isn't it cool how they wrote the word splash in the bottom in the water that you almost don't see it? It becomes invisible. That's kind of a neat drawing on that one. I hope some of you might become drawers or illustrators for books. Okay, now it says, hold on 1 minute. I want to be sure we got this right, because maybe it didn't happen like that. I mean, would Abe and Austin really have walked across a log over that whirlpool? They weren't that foolish, were they? No, I'm almost sure those boys would have crawled. So let's try it again. So they're going, whoop. He said, wait a minute. And now they're going to change what the story says. But you still see the word splash at the bottom. So I wonder what's going to happen with the next page. Okay, next page here. Whoops. And then Austin stoops down, puts both hands on the log. He holds on tight. Bit by bit, he pulls himself across to the other side. There he is, crawling on that log. You can see his face. He looks a little nervous. How about we give him some encouragement? Yee-haw! Come on, a little louder. Woo! So he's going across that log, and we're cheering him on. Hooray! Austin is safe. Your turn, Abe, Austin says, squishing his toes in the mud. Uh-oh, I'm afraid this isn't much better. Look, Abe's in trouble from the start. His stomach feels queasy. His head's all a whir. He gets halfway, and then he's stuck. Don't look down nor sideways. Don't look up or sideways, Austin hollers. Can Abe even hear Austin above all the racket? John, could you please stop painting that noisy water? And here's Abe crawling across. And if you look right over here, whoop, there's John's paintbrush. And she's telling him, don't paint any more crazy wild water. I like the way this book is illustrated. Just look right at me and hold on tight, Austin yells louder. But Abe can't help looking down. He loses his grip and then, alas, alack, oh dear, he's head over heels and then splash. He fell down the water again. You can see his feet hanging up in there. There's his toes. And another word splash, but this one doesn't match the water like the first one did. And that water's still rushing really quick. Wait, where's Austin? Now, John, don't let him wander off to chase a partridge, not at the most important moment of his life. And I think if you can see, can anybody see where Austin is hiding? I'll bet if you zoomed in, you'd see that he's hiding right there behind the tree. So he didn't go off very far. Phew, there he is. He must have been there all along, because he was Austin, Abe's best friend, loyal and true till the day he died. What's that you're saying? Abe's still in the water? While I'm rambling on, his head went under again? Wait, I'm trying to remember what happens next. I'm pretty sure Austin doesn't say, don't worry, Abe, I'll save you, because I know you're on Earth for a great purpose. And I don't expect Abe sputters back, stop yapping and help me. No, I think Austin just leaps into action, and he pulls Abe out by his shirt tail. And you can see that Abe is in the water and Austin's by the bush there. And then he reaches down and he finds Abe and he grabs on his shirt and he pulls him out of the water and saves him. And there you see John drawing more pictures. He's still illustrating the book. Or maybe Austin uses a sycamore branch. That's a tree. Or a fishing pole. But I don't think they brought one with them. We'll let John decide which sketch to paint. For that's the thing about history. If you weren't there, you can't know for sure. And like we showed before, there's John drawing the pictures and deciding whether he's going to do the top one or whether he's going to do the bottom one. Oh, Abe's on land at last, but he looks almost dead. Austin pounds him until so much water pours out of his mouth, it about makes a lake. For a long time, Abe is still as Austin's heart. At last, Abe coughs. He opens up his eyes and smiles at his friend. Whew, what a relief. I thought you were a goner, Austin says. I'm mighty grateful, Abe whispers, his throat raw from swallowing half the creek. Better not tell anyone, Austin says, or we'll get a whipping. I won't, but I'll never forget it, Abe promises. Not as long as I live. Then they stretch out on the rocks and bake in the sun until they're dry. We could end our tale here, two happy friends in the sunshine long ago, but I expect you want to know what happens next. As you can see in the first picture, Austin grabs that sycamore branch and helps him. Abe grabs it, then he brings him up to the land. He's pounding on him to get the water out of his lungs, and then he flips him over, and then they're laying on the rocks to relax and to get all dry. Not long after, the Lincolns, Abraham Lincoln's parents and the family, moved to Indiana, where we live. In time, Abe goes on to the White House. Whoa, hold on a minute. I'm afraid you got it wrong. Austin wasn't there at the president's side. Put him back by Knob Creek, where he belongs, raising a family, riding a mule through the woods. And as you can see, there's Abe Lincoln at the White House with other men. And there you can see John's hand at the bottom, painting what he had drawn already. I'm not sure which one of those is supposed to be Austin, because they're all grown up now and they don't look the same. But one of those men must be Austin in the picture. Okay. Telling stories of his first great friend till he dies at a ripe old age of 92 at long last, resting under a gravestone that reads, Lincoln's Playmate. For the truth is, Abe and Austin never do meet again. But like he promised, Abe doesn't forget Austin. One dark day in the midst of the Civil War, or so the story goes, Abe will be heard to say he'd rather see Austin Gallagher again than any other living man. I'd like to think that's true, don't you? And there's the cabin that they were in, where they played together and had fun. And there's Abraham Lincoln sitting in the White House and thinking about his friend Austin. I hope some of you have good friends like that would save you and do anything for you, and that you get to stay friends forever. Now we're coming to the last page. About all that's left is to remind you of the moral of our story. Listen to your mother or your nanny, and don't go near any swollen creeks. What? Oh, you don't think that's really the point? Might weak, perhaps, like Abe, a bit thin. Then how about this? Remember Austin Gallagher, because what we do matters even if we don't end up in history books. Yes, let's remember Austin Gallagher, who one day, long ago, when no one else was around there to see, saved Abe Lincoln's life. And without Abraham Lincoln, where would we be? But that's a story for another day, because ours at last is done. And there's a nice picture of Abraham Lincoln and Austin walking off hand in hand or arms over the shoulders, being friends. I hope you have a good friend like Abraham had with Austin that saved his life and did things for him and was a fun playmate too. I hope you enjoyed the story. I hope I get to do this again for you next year in 5th grade. And thank you, Mrs. Valdez, for letting me come into your classroom today or into the library with you and reading to the kids. I very much enjoy it. Have a good day, and remember, find a good friend. Bye.